Hi everyone, I'm Alex and I like to make stuff. I'm starting this YouTube channel because I have just moved in with my husband to Madrid, Spain, and I have lots and lots of ideas on how I can make this rental feel our own. I'm definitely not rich, so most of these projects are going to be made out of recycled materials, so they cost as little as possible. Also, I am pretty new to woodworking and sewing, so none of these should be hard to replicate by you guys. For this first project, we are going to be making a chair out of used pallet with no power tools. This took me about a week to make, considering all glue drying time and cutting all the pieces by hand. You will find a list of all of the materials and tools needed in the description down below. So, without any further ado, let's jump into the tutorial. Okay, so first thing you'll need to do is to obviously separate all of the pieces so that you can use the boards individually. I tried various methods, but the one that worked best for me was to separate the boards as much as I could with a screwdriver and then cutting the nails that held the pieces together with a metal saw. Here I am laying the boards on top of a 1:1 scale plan of the chair to help me write out the measurements and the angles on the boards. You will find a downloadable version of this PDF in the description down below. Since I had no protractor, I simply laid the board on the straight edge of the leg in the drawing and mimicked the angle as close as I could with the help of a metal ruler. I also made some reference markings of where the others go, since they all join in on this center part. Do this with the remaining parts of the sides. And now it's time to cut. As I mentioned before, I am going to be doing all the cutting manually, but if you have a circular saw or an electric jigsaw, by all means use it. This was a lot of hard work and took most of the time on the making of this chair. To start, I first used the metal saw to create a landmark, to later help the wood saw stay on track when first cutting. Again, do this to all three pieces that shape the sides of the chair. My original plan was to leave the boards full width and probably add scrap pieces to the union parts to make them look like the picture. But it looked chunky and the idea was to make a chair that didn't look DIY. So I decided to freehand a slimmer shape, taking into consideration the inner curves that join the three parts. Start with the short ones first. You'll need them to make the center one later. If you want, you can cut the parts out of the full scale plan with a scissor to use as a reference. But I intend to make another one of these chairs, so I don't want to completely ruin the plan. I choose to ignore the curves and instead make straight cuts to make my life easier. It does not make a significant difference in the final product, in my opinion. This next part might be a bit confusing at first, but start placing the three parts together once more. Align in the center longer board with the straight edge on the drawing. Then simply draw a line that cuts it in half. To connect the top part to this new width, you will need to draw two curves that continue the angles cut on the bottom as shown on this clip. It's time to put it all together. Remember that it's glue and not nails what keeps wood together, so don't skip this step. I added the glue and holding the top part to the bottom with a clamp, carefully nailed the top part to the bottom. Repeat the same process with the other leg. I got so excited that I went out of frame, but notice how I clamped the leg to a table so that I could attach the other side. While that dries, you can start cutting exactly 1 million boards of the desired length to make the seat and the back. Once that is done, lay the boards down together over a protective surface and start gluing. We will not be using nails for this part, since we are going to be clamping them together. Leave all the pieces to dry overnight.
8 hours later.
The next day, I took some markings of where I wanted the back and seat to go, so that I could put something for them to rest on, instead of gluing them directly to the sides. Make sure you are placing the stoppers same height on both sides, but not on the same side. The legs should work as a mirror of each other. I also decided to add reinforcements to the sides. You won't believe me, but my camera didn't record this next part where I am joining the seat with the legs. But I made an instructional video with SketchUp that I hope is good enough so that you can understand. Support one of the legs with the help of a wall, and hold the other with one hand. With the other hand, put glue wherever the seat meets the legs, and gently place the seat on the stoppers. It should hold itself as long as you keep pressure against the wall. Nail the seat to the stoppers from the top and the legs to the seat from the sides. It should look something like this. Very carefully, turn the chair on its side. It will wobble a little since the structure requires both seat and back to maintain stable. Place the back, adding glue where it meets the sides of the chair, and nail it down so it doesn't move. I realized later that you can add clamps to hold both the back and the seat to the legs, attaching them from the reinforcements to the sides. It is always a good idea to check everything is straight before finishing. Last but not least, flip it around and attach it the same way on the other side. At this point, all that is left to do is add the armrest and we're done! Quick outro over here. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel for more content like this. And of course, comment down below what you would like to see me do next. And I will see you next time.